Great. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell me where you're at?
So hi, my name is Thaqif Abdul Rashid. I'm actually from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and basically I'm around the age of 30 years old. Yeah,
Great, great. And it's night where you're at right now, right? Late.
yes, it is. It's at the moment it's 10 p.m.
Okay.
Um, we're actually having because I'm a Muslim, so we're actually having Ramadan right now. So we're fasting throughout the whole month. So yeah, it's been quite great actually.
So tell me about that. I used to work with someone who's Muslim, and I remember during that time, eating habits change, and it's like sun up to sundown. Um,
Yeah.
so no food. Correct me if I'm wrong. No food sun up to sundown. Is that right?
Yeah, it's basically you most of the time what people know is that is you can't eat or drink from sun up to sunset to sundown, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually more than that. It's actually taking care of the way you speak, what you see, what you hear. So basically, truly give yourself to understand the holy month of Ramadan. Yeah.
So does that mean like less self-indulgence, I guess you could say, like maybe like less TV consumption or like
Yeah, you can
anything?
say that. It's more like a self-control per se.
Okay.
So basically, if you're able to control yourself in a way that you are able to have a balanced life, right? So basically, Ramadan is a way. This is my opinion, by the way. So basically, it's a way for you to reset yourself and understand how you balance your life, so
Mm,
that throughout the whole year you're able to balance yourself off. Yeah.
okay. Oh, that makes sense. That's a good way to put it. And it lasts a month once a year, correct?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, are there certain foods when you're able to eat and drink that you still should avoid that you can normally can eat?
Um. No,
Okay.
there's nothing of sorts. Is for you to understand. You see, you'll try. Basically, you'll be starving, right? You'll be hungry at the whole day. You're not eating, and then you feel like, oh my god, I
Yeah.
have so much things. And then when a few hours before you open your fast, you tend to be, oh, I want to eat this, I want to eat that. You have so many things that you want to eat, but by the time when you're able to eat, you tend to eat very limited amount of food. So it kind of gives you a perspective in life where you're always craving for a lot of things, but the
Yeah.
moment when you're able to get it,
Yeah.
you don't need a lot of it actually.
Interesting. It'd probably be
So yeah,
overwhelming. Like if you
it
tried to
is.
like, yeah,
You
yeah,
tend to you tend to have a like at the moment in Malaysia is we have the movement control order happening because of COVID, right?
yeah.
So um, before this, we do have like kind of like a market where you can buy a lot of food. So we tend to buy a lot of food for us to open our fast. That without realizing it, whenever we're able to open our fast, there's too much for us to eat.
Ah, I see.
That's kind
Um,
of where
are you still able
uh,
to like socialize with friends and family and all that, or is it a very specific time to be in more isolation and like prayer and things like that?
you mean for for the movement control order or
No,
for
no, no.
Ramadan?
For Ramadan.
I don't know. You still can, yeah. I mean,
Okay,
you live your life just like normal,
okay.
because basically I'm not actually I don't live in Malaysia. I live half of my life in Malaysia, but I spent around 13 years of my life living in Australia. So it's not a Muslim country in Australia. So basically, I do everything the same except that I have to take care of myself more.
Got
So
it.
I can't and bring yeah.
What is the hardest part of this month for you? Is there one aspect of this month when you are like, is it the eating? Is it something else where you're like, this is a challenge to get through, like every day, like whatever it might be, like that is a particular struggle that you could share?
Mm, I guess because we call it the holy month, right? So for me personally, um, the hardest for you to control is actually your own thoughts,
Mm,
um, because you try to give the best throughout the month. So that means you have the best positive vibes, the best thoughts, thought structure, and then um, and basically that you're, you know, you give the uh, try not to think of negative things,
yeah,
and yeah, so cleaning your mind is probably one of the hardest thing um, for me
yeah.
to actually do during this time. Yeah.
That's good. I, I, some people out there tend to be more negative, like the thoughts like, oh, this isn't going to work. Other people tend to be more positive. I think I see myself as more of an optimistic person in general. Um, when you have a negative thought, um, do you have any tactics of how to clear them out of your mind? Like, is it switching your thought immediately to something positive? Because whether something happens, good or bad, like even if it doesn't happen, like let's say you do something and you try something and it doesn't work out and you fail. Like some people
Mhm.
might say, oh, I failed at that, and this is terrible. I don't ever want to try anything again. Other people might be like, oh, well, I learned how it doesn't work, and then the next time I try it, I'll have more knowledge on how to better succeed at that. So same outcome, two different perspectives.
Mhm.
Um, is there any way that you kind of is there any way you can verbalize how you try to guide your way away from negative thoughts?
Yeah,
Because I think a
yeah.
lot of people could
Um,
use that.
okay, so I have learned about basically self-awareness for the last, I would say, for the last 1 year of my life. It kind of trying to get a balance of your own emotion. So understanding yourself actually helps you to build the thought process that you build a more positive
Mm,
thought. I'm more of an optimistic person myself, same like you. So one of the ways that I have taught myself is to have a better breathing techniques where we kind of take a deep breath and relax your thoughts and not to to think about things too much, because understanding that there are things that you're able to control and there are things that you aren't able to control.
mm-hmm,
So determining which is which
mm,
throughout whatever you're thinking that you can control and can't control, then that actually helps you to calm yourself more. Like if you know, oh, this is something that I can't control,
yeah,
so try to think of it less because there's
yeah,
nothing that you can do.
yeah,
And when you say, hey, I can actually control this, you think to yourself that you actually figure out a way already. You
yeah.
already have a solution. It's just that you have to know what the techniques towards the solution to handle that problem. So it's been since I've learned all of this, and basically for me, is to understanding your emotional and your thought process actually helps you. I think a lot of reading, a lot of watching motivational videos, I do affirmation as well on a basis to yourself positive, to yourself more. So yeah,
Yeah,
that actually helps with a better thought process.
that's good.
Hello,
I agree. Like breathing.
are you there?
Yes, you kind of cut out a little bit. Can you hear me? You're a
There?
little. Can you hear me? Hello. So you were talking about breathing, and I completely agree that like it seems like there's like almost I don't know if the right word is power in breath. I've done some reading on breathing, and people generally breathe very shallow,
Mm,
and if you take time and actually fill your lungs, like, and your mind starts to focus on your breath, which is like rhythmic, um,
yeah,
I think it slows your mind down because people in general are always thinking about like, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about that, and it's just like people's minds are going. If you actually
yeah,
sit and focus on your breath and like focus on filling your lungs, like your mental thoughts, slow way down, and you're just thinking about the rhythm. And I've read some things about the benefits of like more oxygen in your body has all these health benefits as well. I don't know, maybe you've read that as well.
Okay. So yeah, I totally agree to what you say. It has a lot of health benefits to it yourself. One of the things that I think that your thought process, your thoughts, and your feelings. So basically, your conscious mind and subconscious mind is what controls the way you heal your body. That's my personal opinion, and it's what I've read as well. And I think what uh, where worries come from, when people think too much and everything, is because people think too much of what's going to happen in the future, and people think too much of what happened in the past. But when you do your breathing technique, you bring yourself to the present moment. You bring yourself to the now. So
Hmm.
when you're in the now, you're more in the self-control of where you are and the state of being that you are. So when you're in control of that, so you're able to understand, hey, this is where my emotion is. So you talk to yourself more regularly, and in saying, for example, if you get angry towards something, right? When you're angry, you allow yourself to be angry.
Hmm.
It's not that someone make you angry. No,
You
you
know,
let yourself being angry. So by
yes,
letting yourself being too angry, it's actually kind of your fault as well.
yes,
So that's where the breathing techniques comes in. You understand, hey, that it's a choice. Your feelings is a choice. You made
yes.
yourself feel that way, and that is the sense of self-control that I think if you don't search about it, not a lot of people know about it. So I one of the people who taught me about self-control, she mentioned to me that she's one of the energies in the world. She mentions to me that stress is actually your soul telling you you're doing something wrong with your life.
Mm.
So once you're able to understand that and say, hey, whenever you're stressed, that means there's something in your life that your soul kind of doesn't feel is the right thing that you're doing, that you have to change.
Mm. It's interesting.
It's kind of an interesting thought concepts. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's very interesting. I haven't done this, but you were talking about healing in breath. And I want to do this, like let's say you have like you hurt something on your body, like maybe something needs to get healed, but like literally sitting, and if you focus your mind on that area and breathe, it's almost like there's energy going to that part of your body. It's hard to
That's true.
explain. um but
It's because you're controlling your breathing is basically controlling the energy in your mind. Sorry, not in your mind, in your body. So the oxygen that you breathe in towards yourself is sort of an energy that you bring within yourself.
mm,
So if you concentrate enough, you're able to feel where the air comes in. So that's why
yeah,
you have to control the
that's
energy. You
you,
can feel a certain, yeah,
yes, it's like you're directing that energy to that place. And
yeah.
like I've been meaning to do that. If it happens, like do it for a day, a week, longer, and
Mm,
see if the healing process happens faster, because
mm,
it's you're slowing things down and you're giving your body a chance to heal itself, and
yeah.
encouraging that. You mentioned letting other people's emotions impact your emotions, or letting what they, if they're angry or let you're angry at them. I have, like if I'm driving, for example,
Mhm.
and this doesn't happen all the time, but like let's say someone cuts in front of you and might make you
Uh-huh.
mad. I get
Yeah.
mad at myself for letting them impact my emotions. Like, how am I going to let this stranger that I don't know let a decision they make adjust the feelings that I have inside? So if I get mad
Yeah.
at someone, I get more mad at myself for letting myself let them control my emotions, which kind of makes me think about what you said. You know what I mean?
It's kind of a funny paradox, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's, yeah, basically you have to, the way my thought process works is that um, I try to put sort of like a compassion and empathy towards
Mhm.
someone. Um, there was this incident that happened that I was driving, and then there was the police that actually handling the traffic. So on the I was on the right side of the road, so we were allowed to go straight, but the person on the left wanted to turn right. So the one that was in the wrong was her, but it was not me. So when the time for her to turn, she turned, and the police got angry towards me instead of her. So instead of me bursting into being angry, all I did was smile and say, and I just said, have a good day, officer, and then I just left. And he have this face towards him like, what the hell just happened, uh, the reason why I did that, because when you have empathy and compassion towards someone, you try to understand, oh, probably today he had a bad day. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he woke up in the wrong side of the bed, or
Mm-hmm.
something bad happened that makes him feel in a certain way, because it's early in the morning. How many people can get angry waking up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah,
is wonderful advice, like coming at it from a perspective of empathy, where you don't know the person's life, you don't know the challenges they've been through, you
yeah,
don't know the situations they might have, a really bad thing going on in their life. Maybe they're dealing with something very difficult, and
that's true.
that is probably impacting an irrational behavior. And instead of
Yeah,
letting that irrational behavior impact you and then have ripple effects from you to others, your situation, having that empathetic view basically stop that negativity from spreading through you and then trickling on
exactly.
to other.
Exactly. It's like when we want people to try and to understand us, but we don't have the kind of compassion to understand other people.
Yeah.
So that, for me, is a bit unfair. Whenever you go out somewhere, you always want people to understand with the struggles in your life. But sometimes when you treat other people, you forget that other people have other struggles too.
Yeah. And I think
So
that
yeah,
it, I want to say, maybe this is too big of a statement, but most people are selfish. People like live in their, they care about what impacts them, good or bad. They like, if it doesn't, I don't care about it if it doesn't benefit me. Like, I'm not saying everyone's like that, but there's a lot of people in the world that live in a bubble around what they care about and nothing else. And I
yeah,
think if you live in that self-centered world, you're going to have emotions swing up and down, because you're going to be like, oh, that person has no right to talk to me like that. Oh, why are they going to say this to me? Or how are they going to, I'm going to show them, and then I'm going to like tell them, and blah, blah, blah. You don't have that empathetic view. You don't even have the mental thought of what they might be going through. All you are thinking about is from your view of yeah, all you're thinking about is yourself.
yeah.
And,
That kind of comes from, like I said earlier, it comes from the stress in your life. Because when you're too stressed and you're unable to control your life, you try to get angry. You spread that out from you because you can't handle it by yourself.
mm,
But if you have a lot of self control, you hardly take it out on other people.
mm, yeah,
So
yeah. Um, and then like
mm,
the topic of worry, you talked about that a little bit. Um, People are filled with worry all the time, and I think you might have answered
yeah,
this, and I don't know if you have anything else to say on it, but like the focus on keeping your mind in the present. Because if everyone wrote down every worry they have, and like let's say someone is doing a presentation at work tomorrow and they're
hmm,
worried about how that's going to go, or they're going out to meet someone and they're worried about, or like people have worries of all kinds of things,
hmm,
a lot of which doesn't come true. I bet you if people wrote down all their worries, very few, if any, actually come true. But it eats up the peace you have in the moment, that, because you are concerned about what's going to happen, and it's impacting your internal being like now, even though it's unlikely that it's even going to happen. And you talked about like focusing on the moment, and like not reflecting on, not worrying about things that have happened or what things may come. Do you have
hmm.
any other comments on like that might help people reduce the worry in their day-to-day life?
Uh, I actually saw this one TEDx video um, about. I think if I probably got this wrong, but the context towards it is for someone who have anxiety as stage 5. So one of the things that you can do, because you have a lot of, when you have worries, that means you have a lot of what if.
Yes.
So what
Yes.
if this happens? What if that happens? So try to make a list of all the what if of what you think is going to happen. So when you make that list, you put it on one side, and on the other side, on the other column, what you put is, okay, if this were to happen, how do I minimize the impact it will cause towards me? So that means if it does happen, you have a plan B, to go back to the balanced state.
Yeah.
So if that didn't work, then you have another column where who can help me if this were to happen. So that means you have a person who you can probably get comfort from, or
Yes.
someone who you believe that can assist you in handling the situation. So when you do have basically I call that like a backup plan. When you have a backup plan towards something that you feel horrible about, it kind of ease all the worries a bit. Not probably not a lot for people who have anxiety, but it does help you to maintain, like, hey, you know what, if things go wrong, I have I have a plan.
Yeah. That is really good.
Mm.
There's something about writing things down and seeing it. I feel like it takes like some power out of the feeling. I don't know how to even verbalize it, but um, like to your point of like writing things down of like, okay, I'm worried about this and this outcome,
Mm.
but if this were to happen, then this is my next step. I feel like it gives the person more control, and
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest fears is unknowns. Like what is unknowns is scary, but if you write it
Yeah.
down and you're like, if this happened, like you said, then I could do this, and if this happened, I
Mm.
could do this, and if this happened and I did this, and I could do this. It crystallizes possibilities of what you could do, and that feels
That's
like you have
true.
more control. And people want control, right? Everyone wants control.
That's true. Yeah. It's
That's really it's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, basically the thing about the unknown is basically it's like what we said earlier, right? When you're optimistic in your thought process, you tend to think, hey, the unknown is teaching you something new. But people
Yes.
who basically that is go beyond the danger zone. So you have a comfort zone, and then you have a danger zone. So unknown is actually the danger zone. You're too afraid of something new, that because you're in a comfort zone, that you're not allowing yourself to learn something that will develop you, strengthen you to a new step that is in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, probably life is trying to show you a way that, hey, you're supposed to upgrade now, but you have to learn this new skill.
Yes.
And if you're too fear to handle the unknown, then you'll be there for a very long time,
Yeah.
and you're not able to grow. So people tend to realize when they when they go through the unknown, they'll realize that, hey, it's not actually that bad,
Yeah.
you know. So
Just to go off of what you just said, I think people don't like to go through pain. People like to be comfortable, and there's good pain and there's bad pain,
yeah,
and good pain to me is if you want to build muscles, like if you want to have bigger muscles, you have to go through
yeah,
the pain of lifting weights, which is
yeah,
actually breaking the muscle down to then grow it back stronger. If you want to
yeah,
learn a new skill, if you want to learn a new language, if you want
hmm,
to develop anything, development is going to be some pain, like it.
yeah.
And that's only natural, but it's once you get
It's true.
through that effort and that pain, then like
Hmm.
your comfort zone expands, your capabilities expand,
Yeah,
what you can accomplish, like it just broadens. And but you have to get through that pain, and you have to be willing to get through the pain. um but a lot of people aren't. Like a lot of people just want to live in their comfortable comfort zone, but then your capabilities, like it's so small.
yeah.
So
You limit yourself.
yes,
You
greatly. And
limit
I
yourself
think
a lot.
there's a lot of potential in everyone. I think whatever your
Hmm.
your natural skills and gifts are that you're born with,
Hmm.
everyone has a great capability to grow well beyond where they're at currently, but you just have to put in the effort. Like there's no shortcut. You have, if you want to learn something, if you want to advance your career at a company, like you have to work
Yeah,
hard. If you want to start a business, you have to go through a lot of ups and downs, and you have to, like you want to, be more athletic. You want to run 5 miles. No one's going to run out 5 miles, but just saying I want to do it. You have to actually go and do it and build up to it.
exactly. Yeah, that
So,
I totally agree because pain have been there since even when you were born, and then the moment that you want to walk, right?
yeah,
You started crawling, and then you get up, and then you like you fell a lot of times,
yeah, exactly.
probably a lot, and it probably hurt you, but you never gave up.
Yeah,
So the point here is actually never giving up,
yes,
because pain will actually strengthen you more than being in the comfort zone.
exactly. And I also think that if people, at least this has been my experience, if you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, if you're willing to try new things, um, it's a positive feedback loop. Like let me give you an example. When I go for a run, I don't love the feeling of a run. I love the feeling after a run. Like
Yeah,
it's just like it feels like an accomplishment. Like my body
yeah,
feels better. Like I got some sweat out. Like it's almost the run that the goal is to get past the run to enjoy
yeah.
that. But once you get that feeling of going through some good pain, as I'll call it, where you
Hmm.
learn things or you
Yeah,
develop something, like I feel like if you've done that a few times, then it makes it easier to be like, it makes to do more things and try new
yeah,
things
exactly,
because you know
exactly.
that there's goodness to come out of it. You just have to get over the hump, that initial hump. And a lot of people don't get over that initial hump.
That's true. That's definitely true. I mean, if you run every day, you like, for example, you run. I don't know, in the US you call it like miles, right? So
Yeah.
2 miles or 2 kilometers
Yes.
per se, right? So you run that much, and then it tends to get easier.
Yes.
So when it gets easier, you tend to do more and more, and
Exactly.
that's where you develop yourself without even you knowing it.
Yes.
That means you upgraded yourself to a certain fault. So
Exactly.
it goes back same to self-awareness, same to knowing about yourself. The more you explore about yourself, the more you know how to control a certain aspects of your life.
You know,
So yeah.
to, to, on the topic of self-awareness, so I think this is a super important topic that I don't think a lot of people in the world are truly self-aware. Like, and when I say self-aware, like, what are your natural gifts and talents? Like, if I wanted to be a professional athlete, but like, let's say I'm very short, or I'm like, I don't have that natural ability, like I can want it all I want, but it's just not going to happen. But it's like
Yeah.
everyone has gifts and talents. Like I don't know you that well, this is the first time we had to talk, but maybe
Yeah.
you're an amazing artist, and it just comes naturally to you. Like I feel like people should focus on their strengths, like whatever you're naturally gifted at, to focus your time there, because that's when you can really do great things. But I don't know the best way to ask this, but like how can people better, from like, how can people better be self-aware to then, you talked about stress, and it's like if you're trying to accomplish something where it's just not like, it's not in your natural ability to do that, it's probably going to be a lot of stress. And if there's something that comes natural to you, and you focus on developing that and pushing and growing that, it's probably going to
Mhm.
be, it's going to be painful, and there's going to be hard things, but it probably comes more natural and you probably enjoy it more. But then people see other people and they're like, oh, I want to be like them, and then they try to copy what they're doing to accomplish the same thing they're doing. But that isn't really being self-aware. That's not being your true self. That's trying to be someone else. So I guess my question, a bit of a long-winded answer, point for me, is like, do you have any thoughts on how people can be better self-aware to be their best self?
um I think it goes to two things that I can think of at the moment. One is to put aside stereotypes. You know, we live in a world where we're very connected. We have tons of information in our fingertips, and we tend to have a sort of stereotypes like, oh, you're too short to play basketball, or you're too fat to go to the gym, and all these things, right? Put that aside, because for me, I'm not that tall, but I play basketball very well. and I trained myself for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And people, when they're able to see that you're able to play, they don't they, the stereotype literally dropped, you
Mm.
know. So that kind of when you think in a certain way, it creates it creates the personality, the character within you. And
Mm-hmm.
then you keep telling yourself, I'm not that good, I'm too short to do this,
Mm.
or um, I'm not too smart to go to Harvard, for example, right? So uh, to have a good thought process is to actually, like, you can listen to all the stereotypes but never put it within yourself.
So no
And
limits. Don't put limits on
yeah,
yourself. Yeah.
exactly. So second is to know your strengths and to know your weaknesses as well. So everybody is their own superhero. um, Acknowledging that, hey, this is the skills that I have, and whatever you want to improve, that's fine. You improve whatever you have, but the strength that you have, you keep it with yourself. Anything that you're unable to do yet, you ask for help. For example, I think the best example I could give is, everybody knows about the Avengers, right? So Marvel Avengers. So you don't see Iron Man trying to do the work of Thor. You
Yeah.
don't see Spider-Man saying that, hey, I want to be like Captain America. Everybody is their own superhero. So acknowledging your own strength, your own superpowers, allow you to get through yourself and say, hey, I'm one unique individual,
Yeah.
and I'm my own self.
Yeah.
And and there's no other person in this world like me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody have their own uniqueness. That's the most important thing.
So that's good. I like that a lot. And on that note, um, if you have that perspective, I think you compare yourself to people less, because how can I compare myself to that person? Because I'm a completely different person. I'm my own superhero, as you said. Like,
That's my point. Yeah.
like if I go out there into the world and I see someone and I'm like, they have an ability I don't have, I'm jealous of that. They have a house that I don't have, I'm jealous of that. They have um, a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend that I wish I had, or whatever. You could go down the list, or this clothes, or this car, or certain amount of money, or they can run faster than me, or they can jump higher. Like, you can go on and on and on. And if you're always comparing yourself to, you're never gonna, like, it's just gonna eat at yourself. And I think, like you were saying, if you're your own superhero and no one is like you, then it's not even fair to compare yourself to someone else, because you are you. Like, you're not meant to be that person. You're not meant to run that fast or slow, or be that tall or that short, or have that much or that little money. It's like, you have what you have and what you're accomplishing. You're in your own race. You're not racing against someone else.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That you put that perfectly. You're in your own race. You know, people. What you see is people tend to portray the best part of their life,
Yeah.
especially to social media. And one of the best way, for example, if you look at a celebrity of sorts, right? So try to know the roots of where they came from. Most of them start off pretty hard as well.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about how Jim Carrey start from his he was kicked out of his house, and then he
Mm-hmm.
lives in a car and all this thing. They struggle throughout for them to be able to achieve where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are seeing is where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Yeah.
seeing their success, but we don't see the struggle. But we see our struggle without knowing that we can reach their success.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that celebrities, athletes, successful business people, like, um,
Mm.
you don't see the struggle, you only see the result. And I think
Yeah.
people, um, it's unfair. Like, if you are trying to do something and you're in chapter 1 of whatever you're trying to do, it's
Mhm.
it's it's unfair for yourself to compare yourself to someone else's chapter 17. But that's what people
Yeah.
do. Like, if you're just starting a journey and then you look at someone who's hugely successful and you're jealous and you like, I want this now. And that's the other thing. People lack patience, I think. Like, you have to be patient.
Yeah.
Like, nothing happens overnight. But like, if you're looking at
True.
someone's success and you're be like, oh, I want that, I want everything they have, I want the life they have, like, why can't it be me? Like, you didn't see 2, 5, 10, 20, 30 years that went into it, and all the ups and downs and the struggles, because I don't believe anyone who has a high level of success, whether it's in sports or in business or in anything else, didn't go through a lot of pain, didn't go through a lot of ups and
Yeah.
downs, didn't have a lot of points where they wanted to quit and were like, this isn't going to work, but then they pushed through it. I think you would find it very hard to find anyone who just said, oh, I just decided to do this and everything just lined up and all the doors opened up and then I became extremely successful in whatever I do. I just don't think that's a reality. And it's unfortunate that people compare themselves, because again, like the best way I can say it is you're comparing your chapter 1 or 2 to someone else's chapter 17 or 18 or 19.
Exactly. It's like you're paying for example, you see an artist painting a picture of you, and it takes them 10 minutes, and you pay them, I don't know, $350 or $400, and then you feel like, hey, it's unfair that he takes 10 minutes to do this, and we have to pay this much. But what you don't realize it, for him to paint that in 10 minutes, it took him probably 20 years
Yes,
to get to that level of skill. And a lot of
exactly.
people don't realize that.
Exactly.
So
And
you don't pay for the time, you actually pay for his skills.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I will add to that, I think people who are very good at something make it look easy. Like
Yeah.
if you look at like some NBA players playing, you might be like, oh,
Yeah.
there's nothing to it. Like it's easy to shoot a 3-pointer. It's easy to be Steph
Yeah.
Curry if you're familiar with him.
Until you get caught.
Yeah, but I bet you even I was playing basketball one time and there was a guy that was um, he was like a 7 foot tall guy, and like when he played against like very good people he was like it was either, I think it was like a big time college program, a school in the US,
Mhm.
and like he didn't look like the best player out there and people were like, oh, he's no good. But then he was playing with them in like some pickup basketball and running, coming up and down the court, dribbling, dunking, and he's a 7 footer and blowing everyone away. And it's just like, whoa, like on TV, it looked like he wasn't like, he kind of was like a little bit clumsy or like wasn't that
Yeah.
coordinated. But that was against people of an extremely high caliber of
Yeah.
skill. But
Putting
when you
things in
take
perspective. Yeah.
yeah, but then when you take him in another environment where he's very much higher than the people he's playing with, he's just like running up and down, going between his legs, doing everything, and people are just like, "Whoa!" But it's like you just see someone doing. But when you see someone doing something easy, I guess come back to that, like your painting example or um, anything that they do. Like to your point, it took 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years to make it that easy.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, and then again to circle back, it's like, and then people are like, oh, well, I can't do that. It comes so easy, it comes so natural for them. Like, why can't it be
Yeah.
me? And then they feel
So
bad
they
about
were
them.
born that way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even LeBron James,
Mm.
like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, they put in a lot of, like, they had a lot of
A lot
natural
of hours.
ability, but a lot of work,
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, awesome. Like, this has just been an inspiring conversation. I think we've almost talked about
That,
45 minutes.
that,
um,
I mean, I enjoyed the whole conversation really.
yeah. And, this is something, we're talking about like getting out of your comfort zone and doing something new. Um, this is one of those things where it's just like, I don't have any expectations going to this, but recently I just had the thought of like, what if I tried to like, we're in like a lockdown in the US as well. We're starting to open up, but it's like, you know,
Mhm.
about like what are the possibilities. I was like, what if I just made it a goal to try to have a video conversation with one person in every country in the world. I think there's 195 countries. Big goal.
Yeah.
um Probably going to be hard to get some of the countries, but I was like, I don't know what might come from it, but I feel like good things will come from it. And I think it's the fourth or fifth conversation I've had so very early, and I thank you for having it. But like I feel like I'm better off as a person. If nothing else comes from this other than our conversation, I feel like I'm better off just having had, like, I feel like we have similar ways of thinking and living, but
Exactly.
hearing your thoughts encourage the way that I'm thinking, and my day will be better now because of having this conversation with you. So yeah, like, and who knows when
Exactly.
we come.
Exactly. Same with me. You see, I think the first time I heard about what you're doing when you meet a new people every day.
Yeah.
I think that was the first challenge you put towards
Yes.
yourself, and I think that is spreading positivity, because my goal that I wanted to achieve is I want to spread positivity, and I want people to kind of learn of how to handle themselves. And what you are doing is, if you look at like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, it's nothing new. But nowadays, people walk around without talking to strangers.
Yes.
You're so busy within your world
Yes.
that sometimes you don't even know your own neighbors.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
what you are doing is excellent, and that kind of give whatever you're doing give me hopes as well. Like, hey, someone out there is trying to reach to other people even without knowing who they are.
Yeah.
And by you doing this around the world as well, you're trying to get a different kind of mindset from all different sides of the world,
Yes.
and how the thought process of every side of the world is very different.
Yes. Yes.
It
Yes.
kind of it kind of relate us all.
Everyone is going through different things, and my normal life is different from your normal life, is different from
Yeah,
the next person's normal life. And I think
that's true.
hearing your perspective and being able to connect with you, even for a few minutes, opens up my mind. And then that's the
Likewise.
goal. Yeah. You know, yeah, it's just interesting. And people are very similar, but people are very different at the same time. Like, people have different customs and rituals and religions, and oftentimes people want to live in a bubble where, like, I believe it this way and I do things this way, and I only
Yeah.
want to read things about things that align to the way I already believe them but like,
Mhm.
you have to hear different perspectives, and that may just either reinforce the way you believe or open up your mind to think, oh, I didn't realize this, and that may open up your mind to think differently, and that may make you stronger and open up possibilities just because it changed your perspective. um,
Yeah.
the daily hello thing I did a few years ago, where I met a person every day. um, One person reached out to me a few months ago, I think it was, and a few others have as well, that felt inspired and were doing something similar in the country they were in. But this one in particular, he's actually the second person I've done with Global Hello. He's in Bogota, Colombia, and he did a similar, meeting a person, new person, in Bogota, Colombia. I think it was a couple of years ago now. On the 10th day he did it, he met his current wife. So to to think that I did something in a town in the U.S., in the United
Wow.
States, that then someone in South America, in Colombia, saw and
Yeah.
was inspired and took action and did something similar and had a growing experience, and on the 10th
Yeah.
day he met someone that is now his wife, that would have likely not otherwise met that person. That is a
Exactly.
humbling, amazing experience. And I told him, if nothing else had come from that experience, knowing that that had impacted you in a positive way would have made the whole thing worth it.
Yeah.
So that's, like, you don't know what's going to happen. You know, we may talk again in 6 months or 2 years, or you may be in the US and we see each other, or I may be in Malaysia, or we don't know when our paths may cross. But I feel like
That's true.
having this conversation opens up the possibility for us to have a cross paths at one point, and maybe I can introduce you to someone at some point and it benefits you. I don't know, I have no idea, but I feel
It
like,
already changed us. It
yeah.
already changed us by us talking right now. It already changed our thought process and understanding more of. For me personally, I understand more of the way you think, and the example that you gave me is all based on your life, and the example that I gave is based all on my life. So
Yeah.
kind of connecting. People say uh, same script but different cast,
Yeah.
different set of people. We do have the same script,
Yes.
So yeah, so
That's made the
it's
conversation
fascinating.
very fun. Well, I know it's getting late where you are. Thank you again for chatting. It's been a wonderful
Thank you so
conversation.
much for having me as well. It's been
Lovely.
an honor being part of making your challenge.
Thank you.
Hope
Thank you.
that you get the whole 195 country. All
Thank
the
you
best
so
to you.
much. Well, have a let's stay in touch, at least on social media, and then, perhaps
No
we'll
problem.
see some each other in person one day somewhere.
Keep us updated of all of your success
Will do.
as
Thank you
well.
very much. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye bye.
Bye bye.